Are you enjoying the game today, too?
I am indeed. And today we're taking a leap into a truly special one.
We are falling headfirst into one of the most infamously difficult yet brilliantly designed ninja titles of the entire 8-bit era. This is UPL's chaotic masterpiece, Ninja-kun, Ashura no Sho.
First in the arcade in 1987, then the Famicom port that so many of us remember.
It's a sequel that just completely redefined what a ninja platformer could be, but it also, and we have to get into this, it caused absolute havoc in the coin-op world.
Right. That name, Ashura no Sho, the chapter of Ashura, it tells you everything. This wasn't just a simple follow-up to Ninja-kun. Majou no Bouken, or Ninja Kid 2 as it was known internationally, it was a total overhaul.
So for this deep dive, you wanted to know 3 key things. First, how did the creator, Tsutomu Fujisawa, inject such groundbreaking agility into the game?
Second, why did that brilliant design turn the arcade version into what's famously called an operator's nightmare?
And finally, the big one for console fans. How did a studio known for, let's be honest, shaky ports, manage to deliver the Famicom version that many now see as the definitive one?
Let's start with that agility, because the shift from the first game is just massive.
Oh, it's night and day. The original Ninja-kun was so incredibly restricted. We're talking 2-direction movement.
And that bizarre control scheme, the jump and the down step were mapped to the same button. It felt so clunky.
It felt heavy. But Ashura no Sho threw all of that out. It went with the standard 1987 arcade setup.
An 8-direction joystick and a classic 2-button layout, attack and jump. That simple change it liberated the character. Ninja-kun could finally move like a ninja.
And what UPL built on top of that system is what makes this game a legend. We aren't talking about standard Mario-style jumping. This is specialized ninja movement.
It starts with the wall cling. You jump towards any vertical wall, hold the joystick towards it, and you just stick.
Which opens up everything. From there, you could do the vertical clambering, right? That slow, careful climb by tapping the jump button.
Exactly. Essential for when you're under fire and need to move precisely.
But the real game changer, the move that defines the entire experience, was the triangle jump, the Sankaku Tobi.
And it's not optional. You have to master it. Scene 3 is literally designed as a training level to force you to learn it.
I remember just slamming into those walls over and over again. It felt impossible at first.
But here's the brilliant part, and maybe a little bit of mercy from the developers. The game uses input buffering.
So you don't need frame-perfect timing.
Not at all. You can basically just mash the inputs as you hit the opposite wall, and the game respects your intention. It makes a really sophisticated move feel a bit more manageable under pressure.
So you got this fast ninja scaling walls, but then they turn something as simple as falling into a skill test.
Right. If you drop from too high, Ninja-kun goes into this flailing animation, and when you land, you're stunned. Just completely vulnerable for a second.
A death sentence in this game.
But you can counter it with the aerial rotation, the coup. Press jump mid-fall, you start to spin.
And if you time the landing so you land on your feet, you get that stylish landing.
1,000 bonus points. And more importantly, no stun. It's this beautiful little mechanic that rewards skill over just, surviving.
And that really gets to the core of Tsutomu Fujisawa's whole design philosophy here. Anti-pattern design.
Exactly. Most games back then were about memorizing fixed patterns. Jump here, shoot there. Ashura no Sho demanded that you react dynamically to a world that felt alive.
To test those skills, you needed a bigger world. We're talking 31 scenes, branching paths.
Covering everything from rocky mountains to underwater caves, and proper giant boss battles this time, which the first game lacked.
It really did make the original feel like a prototype. Now let's talk about the arsenal. It wasn't just about shurikens.
No, and how you got weapons was tied to risk.
Yeah.
You had to clear these specific timed challenge stages.
Which were optional. You could skip them, but then you'd miss out on the reward. It was a constant choice. Play it safe or risk it for a better weapon.
And those weapons. They required real tactical thought. You start with the shuriken, but for high-level play, you absolutely needed the bomb. The Bakadon.
Because it wasn't a straight shot. It had that high arc lob.
Right, so you could hit enemies behind cover, lob it over walls. It completely bypasses the direct line of sight that limits the shuriken. It's the key to that whole anti-pattern world.
And you had to switch weapons on the fly, using the up lever. Plus, the environment changed the rules the second you hit an underwater stage.
Oh, your projectiles are gone. You're left with just your sword against these super fast enemies. It's a sudden, brutal shift in tactics.
The game just forces you to adapt constantly. And the enemies adapt too. That's so-called thinking AI.
Yes. The higher tier enemies, those red ninjas, they would actually try to dodge your shurikens. They'd jump or crouch.
So you couldn't just spam attacks. You had to bait them, anticipate their dodge. Every fight became this little micro-strategy puzzle. For 1987, that's just wild.
All of this meant a massive learning curve, though.
Oh, tell me about it. Scene 4, the cavernous trial. That was the ultimate beginner killer. Just hours spent trying to nail the timing on those triangle jumps.
But that struggle is why it's so memorable. The sheer joy of finally mastering that technique or hitting that perfect stylish landing just for the points. It felt earned.
It demanded patience, which ironically leads us to why the game was such a disaster for arcade operators.
The great paradox. All of its brilliant mechanical design concealed a fatal flaw for the business model.
Let's talk about the permanent pattern problem, the PPs. Why did this game bleed money for arcades?
A permanent pattern was an exploit. A sequence of actions a skilled player could repeat to score points indefinitely. Things like repeatedly shooting enemy corpses or chaining stylish landings to earn bonus lives over and over.
So a good player could put 1 coin in.
And play for hours. They could max out their lives at 6 and just never leave. For an operator trying to make money, a player occupying a machine all afternoon on 1 credit is a nightmare.
The game was too good, in a way. The scoring system was too exploitable.
So UPL had to fight back. And this is where the relationship between the developer and the player becomes almost adversarial.
They started adding these harsh anti-pattern measures, like that permanent pattern prevention character.
Literally, if you stood still for even a few seconds, this thing would just appear and kill you. No standing around to plan your next move.
And they turned the clock into a weapon.
A brutal one. If the timer hit 0, you didn't just die. Your score started draining away. And if your score dropped below the threshold for an extra life, you lost a life.
So they were actively trying to force you out of the machine. It feels like such a weird way to punish mastery.
It leads directly to the infamous life bug.
Okay, explain this, because it's just bizarre.
If you were good enough to earn 6 lives, the game's extension system would permanently bar for that credit. You could never earn another extra life, even if you died and went back down to 5.
So the best players had to intentionally die right before they hit 6 lives, just to reset the system so they could keep earning more later.
It's this ridiculous metagame of planned failure just to keep going.
And if that wasn't enough, there's the final boss, Ashura. That hitbox on his sword.
It was famously unfair. It could hit you even when your character looked completely clear of the swing. It just felt like the game was cheating to get that last coin out of you.
On top of all this, there were 4 different arcade versions floating around, A, B, C, and D.
Yeah, UPL was apparently rushing out incomplete versions to get cash flow. Version D was supposed to be the final balanced one, but even it was criticized for giving you almost no time back when you died. It was just a mess of conflicting design choices.
But this chaos is what makes the home console port so important. It's where the game really found its audience, the 1988 Famicom version.
And this is the Micronics surprise. This studio was notorious for terrible arcade ports. Games like X-to-X's or 1942 were just butchered.
Everyone expected the worst. But the Ninja-kun port is hailed as this near-perfect transfer.
It was a conscious choice. For once, Micronics prioritized preserving the full scope of the game. All 31 stages, the branching paths, the weapons, the enemy AI, it's all there.
The trade-off was the frame rate, right? The arcade ran at a smooth 60 frames per second. The Famicom port is a noticeably choppy 30.
It is. But the core gameplay, the entire spirit of that anti-pattern design, it remained completely intact. And in some ways, the console actually improved the experience.
Also,
the Famicom's D-pad. For those tricky diagonal inputs you needed for the triangle jump, a precise D-pad was arguably way better than a lot of the worn-out arcade joysticks at the time.
That's a great point. The hardware actually made the core mechanic more reliable. But the single biggest change, the thing that transformed everything.
Infinite continues.
Infinite continues. The arcade was a heartless machine designed to take your money. The Famicom version let you learn.
Exactly. This is a game you have to learn through brutal repetition. Infinite continues meant you could actually grind through those Sum 1 stages and master the systems without going broke. The focus shifted from revenue to pure skill.
You could finally engage with the design on its own terms. Even the audio had this strange upgrade.
It's funny, right? The Famicom sound chip was obviously inferior, but the game's sort of sorrowful, melancholic music themes just resonated perfectly with that chip's unique sound. Some people swear it sounds better on the Famicom.
And they even kept that garbled synthetic voice at the end. They really tried to maintain the soul of the game, even with the technical concessions.
We should give a quick nod to the MSX2 port by HAL Laboratory, too.
Right, because they took a different approach.
A different interpretation. It was technically simpler, but HAL focused on minimizing the lag when you fired a weapon. In the arcade, Ninja-kun stops for a split second. HAL's version has a much more fluid, almost run-and-gun feel.
So we started with a game designed for skill, but built to punish it for profit. And we ended with a version that, thanks to the Famicom, finally let players achieve that skill.
Ultimately, Ninja-kun. Ashura no Sho wasn't just another platformer. It was a revolutionary statement about creating a reactive world that demanded true adaptation from the player.
You can see its DNA everywhere. The agility, the wall jumping. You can draw a straight line from this to games like Ninja Gaiden or even Mega Man X.
It completely redefined what an 8-bit hero could do.
Which brings us to our final thought for you. Knowing that the game's mechanical brilliance, its anti-pattern design, and its deep scoring is the very thing that made the developers add unfair, punishing measures just to maximize profit. Does that brilliance excuse the intent? Was this a work of art compromised by the harsh commerce of the 80s arcade?
A classic clash between creative vision and economic reality, all played out by a tiny ninja jumping between two walls.
Will the game be fun tomorrow, too? Have a nice game.